All right, girls. Now that we've put the straights to bed,
It's time for the gays.
it's time for the gays. All right, this time for our BL talkbacks. Okay.
BL department.
BL department. So we watched a few BLs. We watched a few on just Patreon only, and then Adam personally just watched a few. You didn't put Cooking Crush. I just realized you just watched Twilight and
We can bring it up.
Pitbabe. Yeah.
Because there's a few that we haven't finished.
That's true.
That
that's
I'm going to
true.
talk about.
That's true. Okay, City Boy Log. What are we?
So
On Twitter, they just posted those pictures, right? Someone was like, they were just out and about, not having any cameras, just going on a date.
but is the fan cam a camera?
But it's the fan
That's
cam.
the
That's the
question.
thing. Maybe the fan cam was
Maybe it's part of it.
yeah, I think it was.
Found footage.
That's what I'm saying.
We were talking about this the other day, and obviously we'll get to the vampires thing. Don't worry. But
People who've not seen it, they're like, what are you talking about?
guys,
Guys.
we wish we could tell you.
But wish we knew.
The show is interesting because it gives so much. It puts so much trust in the audience to believe or to not believe
that what they're watching is just
a show.
And these
Right.
are characters.
Obviously, it started out and it was like, oh, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the whole. It was like, it was Beyonce self-titled just dropped.
Yes.
But once you realize it was obviously a scripted show, fine. But it's interesting that the characters are themselves.
Yes.
They are playing heightened versions of themselves. And I found that interesting that...
Because TAN's Jaejun just has a boyfriend. Like, that's
Like,
just
canonically.
canonically. If, like, the story was the reality, we're watching this, like, K-pop idol, and he just has a boyfriend.
Right. That it's more like I'm impressed that him, obviously, but also like the company. Like, it's
Yes.
one thing to send your idol onto
To a
a BL and be like, but they're acting in a show and there's a veneer and they're acting
Yes.
in a role and blah 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 blah. Right? There's a remove.
Yeah.
But he is playing Jaejin from TAN.
Yeah.
He says that on the show.
Yes.
So it's like, it's a lot of trust in the audience to be able to be like, well, this isn't true or whatever. And of course, there's going to be people who are like, they're actually together in real life. And like,
Yeah.
those people do it for any show ever. So they're going to be there no matter what. But it's very impressive that they were just like, yeah, let's just go for it.
You did it.
Don't do this.
I do it.
So is it vampires? The worst case scenario, well, first of all, the worst case scenario is that it actually doesn't come back.
Yes, I genuinely
Because I think it's really good.
yes.
The second worst case scenario is that they do not explain what the
They
fuck
don't explain what it
happened.
is. They'll just keep doing it. They'll have little more moments, but then no explanation.
Because I need a definitive. I need to know why there was blood in that shower.
There was blood in the shower.
And there was blood all around. I don't know. I don't have another. He got his period. I don't know what other thing it could be. Realistically, unless a nosebleed, but like, I feel like you would just show the nosebleed. A nosebleed isn't weird enough for you to just not show it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Auburn brings up a good point. It would be a good way to separate the real world and the fictional world by doing a specific
Jaejun from TAN is a vampire. That is true. Well,
Or
no, because he's not a vampire.
Jihan. It's Jihan that might be a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the... Tee-hee. We're not tee-heeing at that. Okay.
And you know, Auburn, they're a writer, so they know the craft of writing good narratives. Okay.
Yes.
So it's just, I'm so invested in it.
The idea of us interviewing
Who?
Joao's
Oh,
comment.
maybe an official Ampliverse interview. Us interviewing Jaejin and Jian. Just be like, 안녕하세요. Fucking 주세요? Like, what's going on over there?
Joayo?
왜 그래? Like,
왜?
왜?
I still believe in my heart of hearts.
I still believe.
In my heart of hearts, that the one episode where it cuts to like just them making sounds
Yes!
was them having sex. I think that is what is supposed to be implied. And the next episode, they tried to be like, "Oh, he tripped on the stair."
No.
No.
I think they did it on purpose to be like,
It's a little double entendre.
You believe what you want to believe.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that's what happened.
I'm just saying.
Oh, Gemma, babes. You gotta watch it, babes. 진짜 시발게.
Jesus. Okay, next.
Okay, next boo.
Thank you, CITYBOY Log.
BL excellence, I'm gonna say.
Well, this is the great debate of our times. I mean, it's right up there with the evolution.
Okay,
debate.
this
It's
first
right up there
question,
with-
good, bad, or complex?
There are people, and I'm not going to say their names, but there are people online. It's always people online, obviously.
Isn't it funny?
That I have seen, not a lot, but I have seen people be like, this is the worst show I've ever seen. And to that, I need reason. If you're going to be like, this is bad.
And you're a prominent voice in the BL community, maybe?
And you have a lot of followers.
You have a lot of followers, maybe? Here's what I'm saying. I think
And
it
their
is
name matches your name.
Oh, Adam.
Whoops. Girl, what?
Girl, what?
Is this a morning radio show?
No, the show is complex. It's complicated, but
It's so complicated.
But the fact that I followed it and understood character stakes, even with being able to like innovate the storytelling in that way, that's good.
I think there are issues with the show, right? I think it's not. Some of it is not clear.
Some things don't finish off. Like the side characters, even though they're great. Like Minso and Ungi's characters do really great, but they kind of filter off. Like they just trail off.
There's that. I have real questions about the end. I have questions about how they ended up in different times, but then met back up. I have like that didn't. Totally
I know the
time for me.
The time didn't really match because it's not a real world. Is it?
I don't know. That's another question. Is like, is it a real world? Because it was supposed to be a simulation, but then he now lives there. But did he get his life back?
Yeah.
Or is this just heaven?
Okay. A show need not have a complete story to be good. It was an amazing show with few incomplete stories. I do like that it's like it's showing you exactly what you need to tell the story that you're trying to tell. I mean, that was my whole thing with Only Friends.
But I think the point of the show is really, I mean, it's a BL that is, it's not really about being a BL. I mean, it happens to be a BL.
It's in the genre of BLs
but it is a show about learning to like appreciate what you have and like be grateful and not like waste a day, basically. Mm-hmm. Like that's really the point you're supposed to take away from the show, obviously. So I liked it,
and
it's not my favorite.
And
but
I know that
people,
I know that there are people who want their BL to just be fluff, but then there are also people who like BL that are just like they don't like the fluff. They want it to be dramatic. They want it to be realistic. Like. And so I think this is good that we have at least
I mean, if the
Work and
genre
stories that
of
are
romance can be
involving the
wide enough to incorporate a different many types of genres, then I feel like BL is just the gay version of like you can also do that.
You
with
can
this.
yeah. Yeah. Auburn, that's right. Straight isn't a genre, so it's unfair to minimize GL and BL are just that. I think
Say
like
that.
media-wise, they're trying to categorize it in that way, but I do wish that we can just expand it to, I don't know. I mean, my favorite BL is CITYBOY's Planet, so.
Found footage. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Adam, give us your thoughts on these.
We can also talk about Cooking Crush too.
Yeah.
We can both talk about Cooking Crush because we both watched the whole thing.
Okay, I mean, quickly, Cooking Crush. You want to BL that's just fluff, girl?
Just Fluffer Nutter. That's all it is. Fluffer Nutter sandwich. That's all Cooking Crush is.
Fluffer Nutter pie flavor from Jenny's ice cream. Like, just.
Yeah. Do you just say that because you just had it yesterday?
Yeah.
At Jenny's?
So this was our first off gun, and
it
does
guns lips.
guns lips to my mouth.
Guns lips on my lips. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, she's taking it. I like their chemistry a lot. I do think it doesn't feel as like hot and heavy as like a Force book can be played with, you know?
Because they're not, I guess Off is like the more handsome one. But I feel like that show specifically was not like they're hot, right? Like they were kind of both supposed to be a little weirdo, nerdy kids.
And I like that. I like
insane that he's like 31. He's like our age and was very believable playing a 21-year-old. I was like, well, fuck me.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? That chef that wanted to fuck Gunn.
I would like to see
that straight man who wanted to obliterate Gunn.
Please. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good time. It was easy. It's a show where I wish I spoke Thai simply because it's a good like background show. You check in while you're like scrolling through Twitter.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we have to read subtitles, you had to like be lasered in. But if you spoke Thai, I bet it was even better.
And you know what? A good Neo performance.
Guys, I like Neo. I don't know what to tell you. I like Neo.
He's really good at being able to play these characters. Fun, funny, and then deranged. And only for like...
He did that stupid thing where he was on a show and he made a comment about, I think he tried to make a joke about a GL and it being like a waste of time or something stupid. Anyway, I'm not saying he's intelligent. That was never the point.
That was never.
You can go look to the records. I have never once said Neo is smart. But I think he's like charming in his own way.
Yeah. I liked him on that show. There were a couple performances that I really liked. Obviously, Miss Girl, who was like a CEO of his own.
Unky.
Unky.
Yes.
Yeah. Jesus.
Comedy.
And that's what I want.
And that kid who won the show.
And then the kid who won the show who was with Neo.
17, which is crazy.
For him, I think he just needed a little bit more baking. There was still a little bit of like, I'm reading cards. Kind of in his acting. Yeah. I think he just needs a little bit more time. But all in all,
that's why he wasn't the lead.
Yeah. But all in all, I thought the show was really good. And it was a fun, digestible show. And we were saying, I think Gunn actually likes to cook. I get a vibe that he actually enjoyed cooking. So.
I think Gunn likes to cook. This is my belief. I think they were like,
because they're like doing a reality show right now.
Feeling that all those shots were actually him.
Yeah.
Oh, he was supposed to be played by Mark. It would have been Mark and Neo again. I can't. Mark is getting his own show next year, and guys, I hate to tell you, you're not gonna hear the end of it from me. I'm gonna be the number one supporter. Hello, Interfan.
Hello, Interfans. That should be your new name, Adam Interfan Reed.
And what about it?
And what about it?
Okay, so let's talk about. I'll do Pitbabe first. Let's end on a high
Let's do
note.
a sandwich.
Let's end on a high note.
Let's do a sandwich.
Pitbabe, I did not hate. Okay, I didn't. I don't think it was great, but I think.
But do you appreciate the big moves that it made?
I thought when like the first half of the show, it was like obviously trading in Omegaverse, and I didn't really. I felt like it was just giving lip service to Omegaverse just to be like, we're an Omegaverse show, but it wasn't really doing Omegaverse. By the end, it kind of had more to do with that. But you don't see any M-Preg, which obviously I was hoping for. I wanted to see Pavel pregnant.
I wanted to see Pavel pregnant. And Pavel, we know you speak English. If you want to come on the show,
This is a plea.
this is a plea. Pavel,
Pavel,
we need to interview. We need
I
to
need
know.
to talk to Pavel
And
about the
just
show
be like-
because Pavel gives in the second to last episode where, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the show, one of the characters is allegedly dead. Pavel gives like an Emmy-worthy performance that I was like, you didn't have to do that for this show. There's no reason that this show deserved that level of acting prowess, and yet he gave and delivered, and it was great. That being said, it was my first Pavel Poo.
Pavel Poo and Tyler too.
Pavel Poo and Tyler too. I don't know how I feel about Poo. I thought he was fine in this, but I think he's a little clunky. But I did like that the show, and I think this is just from whatever it pulled, whatever the.
Oh, it's Poo Pavel.
Oh, sure. Anyway,
He topped.
right. This is what I was gonna say. I thought it was interesting that it kind of flipped who you thought was the top and the bottom, which took me 8 episodes to figure out, embarrassingly, because I was like refusing to believe it, even though there were many references up to that point of like Pavel's taking dick, and I was like, no, that's not true at all. And then finally they basically
And what does
showed it,
that say
and I was
about yourself, Adam?
It says a lot. It says that there's constantly unlearning that we have to do. Anyway, he's hot. Pavel's really fucking hot, and his hair was great in this. And there are a lot of gay characters in this. Pretty much everyone is gay.
Pavel being railed constantly wasn't a
Like, why was
There
I
was,
just?
like,
I fully was in disbelief. I was like, well, clearly they're just shooting it weird. I would like make up the wildest excuses. I was like, there's no way. Because I was like, there's no way he would agree to that. I just felt like I was like this really handsome, like kind of like dominant guy would like feel weird being portraying like a bottom. I was fully like, I was like, it wasn't even necessarily that I don't believe that guys like that don't bottom, but I was more like, I don't believe that an actor like this would
be like,
accept this role. And he proved me wrong. So it's fun. It's worth. I wish it was maybe like 10 episodes. Listen, I didn't know if it was the translation. I was like, oh, he just means general fucked. I need to get fucked. You know what I mean? Anyway, it doesn't matter. No, I understand.
No, this is the one I was trying to show.
Oh. Yes. Rob, I do understand. Thank you. As a gay person, I do understand that there are dom bottoms. I am not in disbelief of that. I am more saying that I was shocked that the actor would feel comfortable doing that. As someone who I feel like, from viewing his performance, I don't believe he's actually gay, but anything could be anything. So
Anything could be
that
anything.
was the point I was trying to make.
Final thoughts about
Pitbabe?
Babe in his pits.
You know,
The brushing of the teeth.
a lot of product placement. They did a thing that I constantly found funny, where if they couldn't fit it into the episode, they would just they had a shot as like B-roll interstitial, and they would just put it as on a billboard, and they would just put the product on a billboard, and that was like in between the scenes, and I thought that was so funny.
And listen, if you show that to a lawyer, they'll be like, "Yep, that's it. Yeah, you provided the deal to show the product. to place the product.
Anyway. Should we talk about Last Twilight? Let's talk about Last Twilight. RJ didn't watch this because he has no taste. But I did. And Jimmy C continue to be excellent. They continue to serve adorable and hot. They continue to make me cry. The scene where they go back to the mountain, if you haven't seen the show, this won't make sense, but the scene where they go back to the mountain and he finally loses his vision and the last thing he sees is Jimmy's face, is one of the saddest things I've probably ever seen in my life.
Sadder than Dahye and Dongjin trying to take a photo.
Sad. Well, on level. When the show started, I was of the camp that if it ended with him getting his vision back, it was going to be to the detriment of the show. Because I thought they were doing such a good job about being like, your life doesn't end if you have a disability, which is how the character viewed his disability at first. He like overcame it. Or not overcame it, but learned to like live with it, I should say. So he does get his vision back at the end. But I think they got out of it kind of being messy by it not working the first time, which still is like a little messy, but I thought they did a good job of showing him being like completely independent and like happy where he was back in like and it was like many years later that he got his eye transfusion, which I didn't know that was a thing. So you learn something new every day when you watch BL. Really, truly, you learn that there are power bottoms in the world. You learn that there are eye transfusions. Anything is possible now in 2024. But I think C is really good. I think Jimmy's good, and I like their chemistry a lot. And I thought this was like a really lovely, warm show that had a lot of heart. And Mark's in it, so obviously I was sad.
Playing it straight, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, playing it straight, but the girl. Oh, this is my favorite. I think she's my whoever the friend was,
the pregnant one.
Whoever she was, I don't think I had seen her in a GMMTV yet. I know she's been in other stuff, but it was my first time seeing her. She's probably my favorite actress so far I've seen in a BL. Because she's just it's so natural. Mm-hmm. She gives her lines so naturally. Like she's really good. She's like genuinely a really good actress. So I was like pleasantly surprised that she was in the show. She
will be in a GL. There you go.
Oh, slay.
Namtan.
Oh, slay. We love. She was so good at this. I really liked her. I think she was the best. I liked the mom. I liked that she was an antagonist, but she wasn't a villain. I thought that was really smart. I liked that it played with class to some extent. Yeah. I liked that, he becomes like he works in a kitchen, but he's still like working class. Like there are so many things that I was like, oh, this could go sideways or wrong. And I felt like they really kind of nailed it. I thought there was a lot of representation, obviously, to like the blind community that felt like really researched and like portrayed appropriately, that I was like, it's not talking down to the audience, and it's also like being really kind. I think I really liked the show, and I was a little nervous when I saw the trailer initially, because I think the first time I saw the trailer was after I had finished Vice Versa. Yeah. I think it was like attached to the end of the last episode.
And you were like, ooh, how are they going to do this?
And I was like, oh.
This seems like a stretch.
Oh.
Funny, because you just watched Vice Versa where paper was transparent.
Right. But I thought this was very warm, and I really liked it. So
here we go.
Okay, so what's next?
What's next, Adam?
I don't know. Why is it not working?
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
So we are doing His Man 3. That is going to come. Last year, it was like around June 23-ish. So assuming that's probably where we're going to do season 3 as well. We know that they've cast it.
We know it's been shot.
So it's been shot.
Yeah.
So we're going to be watching that. Our next BL after Stay With Me is going to be History 3 Trapped. That was the other runner-up.
And it was like 50-50.
And it was 50-50.
I actually had to... Somebody was like, it's technically even now. Ha ha ha. And so I had to like change my I had to change my vote to Stay With Me because technically we had already said it was going to be Stay With Me. So anyway.
Yeah.
But there will not be a long wait like there was with Stay With Me.
Yes.
We will,
it's just build up,
be better
like,
about
snuck in there and we did not expect it. So
it was not anticipated.
So we're going to do His Main 3 and we're going to do History 3 Trap. Those are our next two YouTube series.
For sure.
For sure. The guaranteed ones.
The guaranteed.
On Patreon. Over on Patreon, we're going to do, since we liked being able to do like Love for Love's Sake and Audition on Patreon, just like having a series that we just watch and react, no need to like recap anything. We really like that. So we're going to do that again in the next quarter. So we are watching Peak Time.
We're going to watch Peak Time.
We are watching Peak Time. It didn't
just wait. Just wait for the comments to be like, woo, we did it.
We did it. We're gonna we talked about like, okay, what are shows that are better for us, felt like a better suited like reaction watch versus like
a more chill
versus like recap, like stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
and I do think Peak Time, I feel like
everyone said like the vibes were great.
Yeah.
Meaning it's not dramatic, which is like not a bad thing.
It's like about get to know the stories of the performers.
Yeah.
And then it's like a showcase. So yeah.
Darsha's asking about I Told Sunset About You. It is going to happen.
It is going to happen.
It's like 6 episodes or like 4, it is going to happen. It's going to be super and we will do full recaps on YouTube.
I promise.
We will not let that one go unnoticed. I promise.
But we're in Taiwan, so we have to complete the journey. How precious are you about keeping that? You want to keep doing that? Of like, then we'll hop from like, so we won't do like 2 ties back to back.
Well, we can have this conversation up.
I was just curious if you still felt that way or not, because I don't know. And I don't know like what. I know that was like a intended goal, and like it was genuinely hard for us because we wanted to do Stay With Me, but like all of these brand new BLs were coming out that were like, okay, are we like missing opportunities? Yeah, it's just something to think about.
Yeah, something to think about. Nothing set in stone.
Yeah. But we are, like I said, we are also going to do a BL for Patreon because we liked being able to just, knock out a BL and just to watch it with people. And so we're going to do Love Is Like a Cat because...
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
We have 2 beloveds. Ganu, a 2-time beloved. Chu Jimin, 1-time beloved from Island. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. And you know what they say? Love is like a cat.
Do you know what the premise is?
I've heard it said.
They work at like a dog cafe.
Oh.
Right? Isn't that right? They work at like an animal cafe.
Oh.
And Gano's like a little jealous friend.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so we have to... okay, this is actually serious. We have to talk about the actual next survival show. And we're not asking people to vote. This is not a vote.
This is a conversation. And we're not making a decision today.
We're not making a decision today. We're just opening the floor. We want to have this conversation with everyone. Because. Because we haven't watched... recapping survival shows is tough. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of fan conversations. We have not had, except on Audition. Actually, I don't know. All of our survival show recaps, people are very passionate about how they feel one way or the other. So that's why it's tough. But at the same time, I do feel like it's what makes our channel unique, or what Boys Love unique, because we like doing it, and I don't think there's a lot of people that will like sit and be like
That like doing it. Say it.
We'll sit and be like, let's talk about, let's actually discuss, because we'll get a lot of people that being like, oh, I thought this was a reaction. Where's the reaction? And I'm like, but we don't.
Friends, we can't.
It's a
We also need to do some education on how YouTube works.
Media literacy, a little bit, So that's why we're opening up this conversation to figure out what should the next survival show be, because we have a couple of options that we want to go with. Three. And we'll kind of share the pros and cons, our thought process for each one, because they could all be they're all possible.
It's possible.
Okay. Wild Idol is our one option. Should I just show all three options?
Yeah, just show all three.
Okay. We've got Wild Idol, we've got Island 2, and we've got Make Mate 1. These are like the 3 opportunities to go for next. And so we're going to talk about what we think. Okay. With Wild Idol,
does not say we're going to choose one of the 3.
We're choosing one of them.
We're not announcing that we're covering
We're not
all
announcing.
3 of these.
No. Because also think about, these are 12 episodes. That's 3 months of one show that we're recapping. So like that overall, that's the overall general thing of like, whatever we do, it's got to be worth people sticking around for 3 months to like want to watch it, you know? With Wild Idol, it is completed.
These would all start we go on a trip. We're going to Asia.
We're going to Asia in May.
And we would be back basically June 1st.
Yeah.
So all of these would start in June sometime. Or not all of these, but whichever one we pick would start in June. Yeah. And I think Island and Make Mate both start.
Island, I thought Island already started. Make Mate 1 is starting in May. But we can always watch. I mean, we can be behind. I don't think we need to be live. And we can't.
But I just wanted to say that's why. Yeah. Anyway, so the fear, my thought process is the fear of watching something in real time, especially in these shows that are happening in real time. They're not like finished products. Like Exchange is like a completely finished thing that they've been doling out week by week. So there's like a narrative that they have set in stone.
Yeah.
These shows, like, you can end up in a, sorry to say, Queendom puzzle situation where literally by the end, nobody gives a fuck.
It was like, okay, it's kind of clear what's going to happen.
Right.
We had to put the semifinals and the finals together, and we didn't even talk about one episode.
They had to do, they used one of the episodes as like a refresh on what's happened in the show so far.
Yeah.
Girl, that's how you know no one's watching, that they're like, well, we have to catch everybody up.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. So that's the fear of doing something in real time.
Or even like Fantasy Boys.
Or even with build up where it was like it changed halfway through. I think we still liked it. We still enjoyed watching the show, but it changed partway through to something that we did not anticipate it changing to. Mm-hmm. So like Fantasy Boys obviously is its own conversation for another day. So that's the fear of watching something in real time, is like, sure, it sounds great when it starts, and then we get to week 4 and everybody has decided that
this isn't a good show anymore.
There's nobody good on the show, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Island is in the canon. It's in the Boys Love canon.
That's the thing that's kind of calling us, is that Island 2 is part of the canon because we watched Island.
Yeah. Make Mate, we love.
Make Mate, okay.
RJ is pushing so hard.
Make Mate is what I am pushing for, because I know I was like, I was drawn by the visuals of Fantasy Boys, and I was like, we gotta watch this because look at all the visuals. And then obviously they fumbled the bag. With Make Mate, I was doing the research, and the production company that's doing the last show that they did was called like The Unit, I think. It was the one that J-Up was in, and like members of Ace. And it was like very well regarded. Like people liked it, and they haven't done a survival show since then.
Yeah.
So people are like, okay, they're taking the time here. They're not just like, throwing a little concept and like, okay, let's do a cheap survival show real quick right now.
That's why RJ's pushing that.
That's why I'm kind of pushing it. And it is exciting to get started on a new group again. I think like watching Queendom Puzzle and Build Up, we saw established people we saw an All Stars, and I think it's time for us to watch. That's why I think these three are good, and that Peak Time is on Patreon because that's an All Stars format. Those are established. Here, these are like new discoveries.
Yeah. So Island 2, I'm pushing for because I feel like I want to diversify outside of man.
More girls, yeah.
I want more girls.
You want more girls.
And I would be curious to see how they adjusted Island since Island 1.
Oh, okay.
Because we're in a different environment. It's not COVID anymore, right? Like, I'm curious how that is going to... I mean, I'm not trying to say COVID doesn't exist. Dear God, please do not clip that out and accuse me of... Okay. We're in a post like lockdown world, and so I'm curious how that's going to change the show.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what I think they do this thing, and frequently it's reversed where it's like girls first and then they figure it out, and then the boys have like the better show, quote unquote. Which obviously they did with like Girls Planet to Boys Planet, Girls Planet 999.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, this flipped, what improvements they are going to make to the Island format. I think it's still going. They paid so much for that damn egg. I bet the egg is still fucking there.
And they paid a lot to.
And unfortunately, I got rid of the egg costume.
And I think they paid a lot to do the show. So a lot of the girls are saying that Peak Time or Wild Idol may feel like a Patreon show, which we did talk about. But Adam was saying, I think the way people talked about Wild Idol was they were like, it's so much crazy. More than just performances. Yes, because they do like pull the rope, drag.
But I think there would be stuff to discuss for discussion.
What if we watch?
But Wild Idol can be later.
That's true.
I just know that there's a very strong beret who feels very strongly that we should watch Wild Idol. So I want them to know that we are considering it. Yes. I don't want them to.
But we have. Teehee is a big make one beret cheering for that. So yeah.
Anyway. That's our thought
process. So we're gonna keep thinking about it. I think what we could do, Adam, is us. Hold on.
Are you gonna mute it?
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.